Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to The Division 2. Tomorrow is a big day for the game. Not only are we seeing the launch of the Cherry Blossom event, which is essentially the next iteration of the formula that we had for the Halloween and Winter events, but we are also seeing the release of Year 8 Season 1.1, the first patch coming out after the launch of the new season, and this is delivering a lot, between buffed prototype drop rates in Escalation, the daily targeted loot rotation being added to Escalation, and much more. So, this video is going to tackle both. We're going to take a look at and recap the dev stream that went down this morning to talk about the Cherry Blossom event, and then we'll flip over to the patch notes to fill in everything else that was not covered. Both of those sections will be timestamped down below, but by the end of the video, you will know everything that you need to heading into tomorrow. I will be live both here on YouTube, but also over on Twitch with a new round of Twitch drops for the event. So if you want to see all of this in action, then be sure to tune in tomorrow. But without further ado, we'll get right to it. If you enjoy this one, you want to see all my coverage coming up this week for the new event and patch, then be sure to subscribe. A major shout out and thank you to our channel members as always. I could not do what I do on here as frequently as I do without your support, so thank you so much for that. But alright, let's get to it. So, on today's dev stream, we were joined by Leo and Anais, two of our community developers, to discuss all things the Cherry Blossom event. This event is going to begin tomorrow on April 21st and run through May 12th for a 3-week duration. It unlocks automatically for everybody who was at level 40. And again, for those of you who were here a few months ago to play the Halloween or Winter events, this is very similar in the formula, albeit with some iterations and improvements. So, to begin, they had Diana join in, who is a senior concept artist from the Bucharest team, and she came in here to discuss some of her role on this event's development. That included talking about the origination and inspiration for this Cherry Blossom event. She said that it was very much inspired by the Japanese cherry blossom culture and celebrations. As you explore the different settlements and areas in the open world that have been decorated for this event, she said you will notice that they took much inspiration from Japanese alleyway storefronts. There's a lot of custom wood paneling. There are lucky cats to be found near different shrines. There's even a few custom murals they've added in, which I think is a very nice touch. And she noted that both within settlements and out in the open world, you will see these cherry blossom petals falling down to add to the immersion. So, all good stuff there. That was about it from Diana. She paged out, but then they continued on to talk about gameplay. So, to start the event loop, they said that about every 10 minutes that you're out in the open world, you will get ambushed by a new event squad. The Kitsunibi, I hope I'm saying that correctly, I'm probably not, but these guys are much like the Krampus Lauf that we had back during the Winter event. There will be 5 of them, but this time they feature a health link mechanic, meaning that if you damage one, you end up damaging all of them. However, because of that, they are tougher to take down, but you're going to want to face them whenever they do show up, because after you take enough of these squads down, then eventually the Ronins will appear. When this happens, they said that the world tone will shift, dark blue petals will start to fall, the music changes, and these guys then spawn in. If you're playing solo, only one of the 2 Ronins will appear, whereas if you're within a group, both of them will show up. Apparently there's an automatic call for backup prompt that will show up on screen if you want it, because apparently these guys will be pretty tough. I hope that's the case. I think that would be pretty refreshing. It looks like from the gameplay they could be featuring a hunter archetype in terms of AI and health and difficulty, so I'm curious to see what the challenge will be there. But taking these Ronin down will award you with event keys as well as exclusive skill VFX, and so that is the general gameplay loop. Instead of having a dedicated bounty like we did for the Houndsman or for Krampus, these Ronin tie right into the open world loop as you go out and play. We did mention keys, which we'll talk about the vendor next, but before that, the other component to the gameplay is that much like the Winter event, where we had the presents scattered around the open world to be found, this time there are 40 corrupted lanterns hidden around DC, and finding and interacting with all of these unlocks a new commendation, which of course grants you a new exclusive arm patch. Alright, but then let's talk about the event vendor. This was one of the biggest changes that they made between the Halloween and Winter events. This one does follow a very similar setup to like we saw it in the Winter event, but again with some minor good improvements. So during the event you will have these 3 caches available to you at the base. The first one is the apparel cache. Just like with Winter, you can use the gameplay earned keys on this, or you do have the option to buy keys for this cache specifically with premium credits. There are no duplicates from this cache. There are 30 total cosmetic items in there, so you only need to spend 30 keys in total, and then you will have everything. Within this cache you will find 3 distinct outfits, that being being the Horned Oni outfit, the Kitsune outfit, and the Tiger Boxer outfit. And across all of these, they noted that the art team wanted to respect the culture that these outfits are based on, but not be too costumey at the same time, so they should all still have a tactical layer. Finally, then they noted that once you unlock all 30 items from the apparel cache, you will be awarded with an exclusive Lucky Cat emote. Next, we then have the gear cache. This was the one that became infamous during the winter event for all of the Eagle Bears and Reguluses it was handing out. They did not mention if those specifically will be back this time, but we do have named, exotic, and prototype offerings within this. The highlight reward is the First Bloom, which is a new named PDR. This is the event exclusive item. It comes with a new talent called Blossom Harvest. I didn't quite get what the description of that talent exactly is, but I'm sure we'll know tomorrow. But they did note that both the normal and prototype versions of this gun are available within the gear cache. So if you're somebody who has yet to collect any prototype items, this might be a good way to jumpstart that progress. But on top of that highlight reward, they did call out that the event exclusive items like the Lexington, Turmoil, Caretaker, the Quick Step, all of those are going to be available within this cache as well. Alright, and then finally we get to the community cache. This is the kind of mass donation community goal aspect to the event. The major change here is that unlike last time where progress was split individually between each platform, now all platforms converge and link their progress together. The team did take the opportunity to reiterate that crossplay is coming to the Division 2 at some point during Year 8. They've seen all of the chatter about it online. Still no confirmed date, but they did want to say that yes, it's on track and it's coming. But as for the community cache for this event, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, you all contribute to the same unified goal, and there are 3 tiers of rewards. At 1 million keys donated, everybody who donates unlocks the Ronin outfit. At 3 million keys, you unlock the Ronin gloves, and at 5 million total donated keys, we unlock the Ronin mask. They did clarify that anyone who is late to join to this and donate can still get the rewards by donating keys once the goal has been reached, and just like with the winter event, each set of 10 keys that you donate awards you with 4 exclusive arm patches. Again, I believe you only need to donate 1 key to be eligible for the main cosmetic rewards, but if you want to go above and beyond, there is incentive. Alright, so those were all of the main topics from the event. We do have a few final miscellaneous things to go over. They did call out that a Rising Sun Fox mask is going to be here as a login reward for the duration of the event. So you just log in and you'll be given this for free. There is a new iteration of the Creator Collaboration event launching alongside the Cherry Blossom event in Year 8 Season 1.1. I did feel quite terrible because I did not catch the names of these creators and I was not familiar with their logos alone. I do know that on the right there we have Atsuichi, who was featured during the FPS Day X event in January. If you recall back, he was one of the first people to be able to post footage of realism mode online. But again, I did not quite catch the others. I'm so sorry. I'm sure it will be listed in the patch notes that we'll take a look at in just a moment. But as far as unlocking all of these cosmetics, it sounds like the reward distribution will work just the same as the last events, where you can get the items from the suitcases and other boxes in the open world, and then arm patches will be distributed by those creators. As I mentioned in the intro, there will be a new round of Twitch drops beginning, running from tomorrow, April 21st, 1 week through the 28th. And this gets you 2 weapon skins, an arm patch, and a named and exotic cache. If you want to tune in tomorrow and grab those from me on Twitch, you can. Otherwise, you can watch anybody in the Division 2 directory for the next week to grab them. And then, finally, Leo gave a shout out to the new Bug Reporter tool that launched with the beginning of this season. We covered it in a past video. He said that this has allowed them to get a lot more data on what issues are top priority for the community wanting to be fixed. And he said that this is directly played into what they have prioritized getting into Year 8 Season 1.1. So that was all for the dev stream, but now that we mentioned it, let's flip over and look at the patch notes for this coming patch. Alright, so here we are with the full article and patch notes. A lot of this is dedicated to the Cherry Blossom event, which we just looked at from the dev stream, so we're going to skip over those sections, but as always, this will be linked down in the description below in case you want to read through the entire thing for yourself. So let's skip straight on down to the creator collaboration so we can clarify who is taking part in this. Okay, we have Rosina, Atsuichi, we talked about, and Mobile. All 3 of these creator sets will be available starting tomorrow once the patch goes live. Skipping on down, let's then get to the patch notes for the new update. So we have a new slate of stat and resource multiplier events. These are running for quite a long time. Firstly, we have an optimization surge that is going to be active between April 21st and May 5th. And of course, that means double optimization materials from all sources. Then after that, we get a conflict XP event running from the 28th through May 12th. and this is triple conflict XP, which could be nice for getting exotic components potentially from the conflict caches, given those drop pretty frequently in there. But alright, let's get to the important stuff, which is the improvements and fixes. So the first category here is Escalation. They have increased the prototype item drop rates across all Escalation tiers, excluding tier 1. So we get no exact numbers, unfortunately, but aside from the beginning tier 1, every tier of Escalation supposedly now has higher prototype drop rates. We'll have to jump in and see if that really feels meaningfully different than before. But the big one here is that they've added prototype items to the targeted loot daily rotation in Escalation. So enemies tied to the daily targeted loot pool now have a chance to drop prototype versions of those items. And they clarify that, of course, this is just the daily rotation, does not apply to the selectable targeted loot in Countdown or Summit. But this is great. I think this is one of the biggest changes that needed to be there when the system launched. I'm glad they're getting it in now, and hopefully that will cut down on the excessive RNG that was needed to try and get a prototype piece that you wanted from the Escalation pool. So we'll see what new Escalation missions are available tomorrow, and we'll see how the whole thing feels. They clarify, of course, that the chance for prototype targeted loot drops increases with higher Escalation tiers. They've also added a warning message to clarify that matchmaking in Escalation is based on the selected tier rather than the mission. They've added a warning to clarify that once an Escalation tier has been confirmed, matchmaking becomes unavailable for that run. On top of that, they have disabled certain matchmaking and call for backup options during active Escalation runs to reduce cases where players could be moved into unintended sessions or lose tokens after confirming a tier. This hyperlink that you see right here links to the bug reporter. You're going to see a lot of those down here. Once again, I will have a link for that down in the description if you've not yet gone and bookmarked that resource. It is an invaluable one for you to be able to report your own bugs, track with the community is reporting, upvote the things that you think need highest priority. And yeah, the devs have said they're going to use this frequently moving forward. Okay, continuing on to prototype gear here. They've changed it so the prototype items with a skill tier now grant 1.5 skill tiers per item. They say each item contributes more than a standard skill tier, and multiple prototype items can combine into higher total values. So this allows players to reach higher skill tier levels with fewer equipped items. For example, one prototype item will still provide you with just one skill tier, so it's going to round down if you just have one. But if you've got two of them on, you now have 3 skill tiers. If you're running 3, you have 4, and you can now reach skill tier 6 by just running 4 prototype items. Before you ask, to the best of my knowledge, you're not going to be able to get any additional power beyond skill tier 6, but this now allows you to run different cores for those final 2 slots. If you want additional armor, additional weapon damage, you've got some greater flexibility. And this is probably the best part right here. I wish they would have called this out back on the original dev stream. Maybe they weren't sure they could commit to it yet, but they do say that this change applies retroactively, meaning that previously acquired prototype items will automatically benefit from the increased skill tier values. That's fantastic. It means that anyone out there who did not hear the dev's initial warning saying you should hold off on prototyping skill tier items, they will not have lost out. They will still be able to get the new enhanced versions, so that's really good. Again, this should have been in at launch, honestly, but it's good to do it this way now that they are fixing it. Alright, and then finally we have a variety of fixes down here, which we'll quickly go over because I think some of these are quite important. Firstly, they fixed the issue where prototype items could be lost when upgrading while the inventory was at maximum capacity. This is a big one that they added an in-game notification for, so hopefully that prevents anything further from happening. This looks to be a fix for the visual issue, stating that items with mods equipped could incorrectly appear to have reduced or altered talents and attributes after being upgraded to the prototype quality. I know this was a big one for many people. They fixed the issue where daily and weekly projects requiring named enemy eliminations or faction bounties would not progress if a level 3 retaliation for that faction was active. They have now made it so that the Tinkerer mask works with prototype items. The Abridge talent will now do so. They corrected an issue where optimized attributes would revert to their original values in raids and incursions. They fixed the broken compare button within our inventory. That should now function as it used to. After many years of requests, they fixed the issue where players were unable to redeem rewards for the Summit Combat Mastery Merit Commendation. They do note, though, that this is not retroactive, so players will need to replay the Summit activity to receive the reward. Apparently, there was an issue where the Ruin Mask awarded from Penco. I thought this was from last season at Ironworks, but either way, it displayed an incorrect exotic rarity indicator. They fixed an issue where the Quick Step would not receive a terminal or maxed out attribute after being upgraded to prototype quality. Don't know if that one is going to be retroactive. I hope so. They fixed the wording within the modifier menu to where the recombinant global mod incorrectly listed base value stacks at 10 instead of 8. And then finally, fixed an issue where the Agitator exotic AR that we got this season from the past was missing a skin slot, meaning you could not slot in the one that you unlock at rank 100. Not sure how that was overlooked to begin with, but you can now do so. Okay, finally, we then have some compensation on the way. They said alongside these fixes, we will be granting a compensation cash to all players starting April 21st as a thank you for your patience with the unexpected maintenance and store issues. This cache, or I think they mean this grant, will contain 1 prototype core cache, which should be 2 cores, as well as an optimization cache, and those are going to be delivered via the in-game mailbox. That is just about it. Finally, they shout out the bug reporter, which once again I will link down in the description of this video. Highly recommend that you check that out, bookmark it, save it, as yeah, they say you can expect more of the top reported bugs to be addressed in future updates. Well, there you have it, everybody. That is the entirety of the news for tomorrow's update to the Division 2. Talking about everything with Year 8 Season 1, including big changes to Escalation, prototype gear. I'm very curious to see how this all goes over, how it feels in practice. Hopefully, this moves us in the right direction and continues pushing things forward, but we will see. Expect full coverage and guides coming out this week for the new event. Stay locked in right here on the channel for everything you could hope for there. But yeah, at this point, I would love to get your guys' thoughts on everything we went over today. What do you think about the new event and some of the changes made there from the formula back during the winter event? What do you think about Year 8 Season 1.1? Does it address some of the top things that you were hoping to see fixed? Are there still outlying things that you wish to see changed? Let me know all of it. I'll be very curious to read your thoughts. That's going to do it for me on this one, though. I will see you all back bright and early tomorrow morning. But until then, bye, friends. RogueGold. Ow. Oh! We just got a Ravenous! Haha! I might not be friendly. Let's go.
Coming to the Division 2.
Let's go!
And